Let me continue from where I left. I left that we should all work together to take the whole of India out of the morass we are in. We are not we should not be always called an underdeveloped or a developing nation. At some time, the aspirations of Indians are there. And what is that aspiration? We should also be part of the world where people call us we are coming from a developed nation where we are welcomed not as refugees, but as people who are willing, who are going to contribute to any nation where we go. We should not be looked at a nation where we are running away from a nation, running away from a country to work in different countries because we are not able to provide them with resources, because we are not able to provide them with services, we are not able to provide those people running away with work or anything. See, that is where each one, if they look into themselves, they'll feel a slight hurt. If you are really a true Bharatvasi, you will understand the hurt you will feel when you go abroad and you are being treated differently. As I told you previously in some of my videos that I had traveled abroad before. I'm talking before 15 years ago. And I was not treated as the citizens of other countries were treated, like the people from the European Union, the US, Australia. You take any other country, they were not treated the same. I still feel the hurt when I still recall the incident when me and my nephew went to get a temporary visa to enter Singapore when we had an 8-hour layover. And the Singapore officials said, no, we do not give temporary visas to visit Singapore even if you have an 8-hour layover. Does it hurt you as a Bharatvasi? Today you are welcome. Today any Indian is welcome in Singapore. He is welcomed in Malaysia. He is welcomed the world over. In that kind of incident, if everybody has got it, then they would have felt hurt. That is because we are not taught ourselves to be proud about ourselves. I spoke to you about roots in one of my earlier talks with regard to tourism. I bring it back here. If you really have a root here, I'm sure every Indian will feel proud. Oh no, we should stand up to the world and say, yes, my passport is strong enough to come into your country without question. That is the value of you should value yourself as, and your passport should be valued. Recently, I went to, I think I would say about 10 years ago, or even 7 years ago, I went to Cambodia. And there I was given a visa on arrival. I never expected it. Vietnam, I was welcomed. It was such a proud moment for you when you walk into the airport just like any other citizen of any other country like you, what I spoke to you about Australia or any other country, and you walk in there and you stand alongside with them, and you fill in the form which they fill in, and when you submit your passport and they give you a visa on arrival, how proud you feel about it. Can you think about it, the elation which goes through your mind and the kind of, what goes through your mind, not only your whole body is moved by it. Your passport is today strong enough to get a visa on arrival along with every other country. That is the pride which you should develop. And how do we develop that? We can develop it only if we make the country strong. And how do we make the country strong? When we pay our taxes diligently. Yes, they will be a little bit high. If you go to the Norway, you're going to pay about 50 to 60% of your income as taxes. But they provide facilities like hospitals, they provide you good roads. The same thing. Will you be able to stand a rate of 65%? I'll provide you everything. I'll provide you roads, good roads, excellent hospital facilities, excellent. Everything just like the Western, but you pay me 65%. Will any Indian be willing to do that? In the same manner, Out of that, if you go to a Western nation and ask for an appointment, you are admitted to the ER. But here, I get a special, if I go to a general hospital, even to a general hospital, and I enter the hospital, and if my need is there, a specialist comes and attends to me. That is what we should look at. Our service, medical services, are beyond compare to the world. Let me digress a little bit. One of my friends recently sent me about an information about his friend. His friend had a problem and he had a knee problem. And he said that he has to get his knee operated. And they said you have to wait for merely 1.5 to 2 years for your knee to be replaced because we don't have appointments. So he called up his friend in India and he said in Chennai. And he called up his friend and that friend said, okay, I talk to my orthopedist friend who's there and let me get back to you. And he said, okay. So the friend flew in from US, came here. I will not let you know the hospital name because there are so many hospitals around. I don't want to highlight one hospital. He came here. The surgery was done. 3 weeks later, he was discharged, fully confident about his knee. And then he went back to the US and he said it was less than 1/3 of the cost of what would have happened in the US, and I got it done on 24 hours of an appointment with an orthopedic surgeon. That goes to compliment India on what we have achieved today. And how have we achieved it today? We have achieved it today because we have all joined together to take India forward. And this infrastructure, how have we developed it? Because we put money in the banks, the money gave the banks gave the loan to the banks, the banks gave the loan to the hospitals were able to deliver the infrastructure today. And today we are having AIMS all over India. And we are looking at settling up 100 AIMS. So you are looking at an expansion, a boom for medical services, good medical services for the whole of it. And that is all Indians. So may I suggest that let us discuss this concept of taxation, middle class suffering, too much of middle class suffering, too much of taxation, as in a different concept. I will develop on that slowly as we go along. Now, why I'm talking about all this is the preamble. It's not a preamble. It is a continuous flow of information. How India can grow, and that can grow only if we are able to give something to the country to grow. And that growth, what you give, is in the form of taxation. As I told in my previous talk, I said yes. We are talking about as if we are renting our services here in India as Bharatvasis, and we are paying a rent to the government and they give us services. And that is how the concept should be developed. Rather than looking it as a burden, the taxation should be looked as a service. You are a kind of, as I told you, a rent or a service tax or whatever you may call it, a kind of a contribution to the government for all its services. Unless we contribute, who else is going to contribute? We can't keep on borrowing. You know what has happened to countries which have borrowed, which the Belt and Road view, which was developed by China. Today, most of the countries which have gone in for that are suffering. Literally the company is under hock to the Chinese. And if you look at those countries, they are running away. They are fighting with the Chinese that they will not pay the money, neither will they hawk, neither will they give their ports, neither will they give their roads. No. There's a fight going on between China and those countries while this Belt and Road concept was brought in. The same thing happened if you look at last year, it happened in our very close neighbor Ceylon. Sri Lanka is it went into the depths of literally it was under sale. That Sri Lanka was up for sale literally. But it was brought back because of the guidance, Indians gave them funding. They taught them how to recoup their economy, put it back into shape, and the Belt and the Road Initiative. What happened was then China had to sell one of its ports to hand it over to Sri Lanka, had to hand it over one of its ports to China to run the port. So that is what, when we start borrowing, when we start living out of our resources, then this will be the consequence. I'll continue within the next talk.